The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my tickets!
Everybody loves Hippo Toes.
Scary dog!
Dancing at Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Hello. Good evening and welcome to TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, Alexis Hejna. Joining me tonight, Mr. Jesse Starcher. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. Glad we get to. It's been 2 years since we got together and talked Last of Us.
I know, right? I had to go back and do here's what happened in season 1 in 30 minutes or less, because I was like, wow, 2 years. I do not remember a damn thing
Oh yeah,
about what happened.
Yes,
Also joining us, so glad he could take some time away from his very busy work schedule, Mr. Jayson Teasely.
There's no busy work schedule with me anymore. There's just sometimes I get held up at 7 o'clock, but glad to be here. I'm going to be the voice of reason tonight. And you know, that's scary to say on anything when I'm the voice of reason.
Yes, it is.
That'll do it. And yes, tonight we're talking about season 2 of The Last of Us. This is based off of the hit video game series from Naughty Dog, created by Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann, brought to us through HBO Max, starring Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, Gabriel Luna, Isabella Merced, Young Manzino, and this season Caitlin Dever. Not starring Pedro Pascal for very long, though. He had to go take some time off, I guess, to make some kind of fantastic movie. I don't know. I think you've barely heard of it.
Well, yes and no. I think going into season 1, they knew the outcome of what we get in season 2. So I think it was good casting, but I'm just getting to the point where, unfortunately, I'm getting Pedro fatigue.
Oh no.
You're not the first person to say that. Pedro Pascal, who has been phenomenal in so many things, Game of Thrones and The Mandalorian, and he's been awesome in so many movies. He's in freaking everything nowadays. Just saw the trailer for the new Ari Aster movie. He's in that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He's his career definitely took off, but I think it's a blessing and a curse in the same way, because he is in so much currently that it may hurt some of his bigger projects that people are looking forward to because of the fatigue, because he's done so much to get his name out there, and now that it's out there, you know, some people are like myself are experiencing a little fatigue on him.
I gotcha. But yeah, he's only in 3 episodes this season. Now, this season is interesting because the first season, they took the first game in the series and basically turned it into, what was it, like 10 episodes? Something like that?
Yeah.
This season we only get 7 episodes, and it's not the full game. They're taking The Last of Us Part 2, and they're dividing it between season 2 and season 3. The short version is we're going to be looking at the 2 seasons through the viewpoints of 2 different characters. Season 2 is through the viewpoints of Ellie. Season 3 is going to be through the viewpoints of Abby. Now, I want to go off the start by talking about the actress playing Abby, Caitlin Dever, who was fantastic in this. We just recently reviewed a miniseries on Netflix called Apple Cider Vinegar, which she plays real-life con artist Bella Gibson with a flawless Australian accent in that. I didn't realize she wasn't Australian until I was like, oh, she's playing Abby. Oh my God, she's actually American. And this character is such a departure from that role, and she was amazing in it. So, Jayson, you are the one who has played the game. Jesse's son has played the game when he's not playing Roblox. So, what did you think of the casting of Caitlin Dever as Abby?
I think the casting of Abby was very difficult to do, but I think they pulled it off because Abby is, when you're playing the game, and a little bit in the show, but mostly in the game, Abby is the quintessential villain. But this is the thing, and this is the conundrum, and I'll go back to my Walking Dead argument, is you view her as a villain because you follow Joel and them so much that you assume that they're the heroes. But in reality, spoiler alert, the way that the first Last of Us ends is Joel literally kills 13 people. Most of them being unarmed doctors and nurses. So you kind of see where she's coming from in her hatred and the vengeance and the brutality that we get to see. So I think that she was basically, because the game had a lot of backlash for the same thing. And you alternate in the game between both perspectives. And I think that's what's going to hurt this. I think if they would have blended it for the 2 seasons, rather than just trying to go for one specific first half and then the third season being from her perspective, I think that she came into this very basically with an anchor tied around her. But I think she pulled it off great, and I'm hoping we see more of that and more of the story and justification in season 3.
All right, Jesse, I'll go ahead and throw this follow-up question to you then. In the games, you really, like Jayson kind of mentioned there, you don't really know about Abby's motivations until a little later on. It's a surprise when she and her fellow friends from Salt Lake, the fellow teenagers from Salt Lake City, suddenly turn on Joel after he has saved her life. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, this is Joel. Oh, okay. Pop, pop, pop. Whereas in the series, right at the beginning, they show them over the graves of the fallen Fireflies, and Abby saying, I want to kill him slowly. Mm-hmm. Do you think, now, obviously anyone who's played the game is going to know who these people are, but do you think that the show did the right idea by, saying it's like, oh yeah, they're coming for revenge, so there is no surprise, or playing it more like the game and leaving it into a twist?
Well, I mean, I would probably have rather than be more of a twist, for me personally. Do I think it ruined or did anything, negative to what we got? I don't think so. I mean, I still enjoyed what we got here. Understanding why they're upset. We're going to start that off. Okay, we want to know why these people are coming to kill Joel. And it's a good way to introduce us to the characters. Would it have been pretty nice to find out like later on? Yeah, for me, yeah. But I can understand, like, you probably want to take the safe route here. I remember the end of our last discussion because I listened to it last week before Tuesday, and we were all, talking about what Joel did, right. Or I think we all kind of agreed, well, no, it wasn't exactly, I mean, it's kind of murder, but Teasely, I think you said that you were like, well, I would have tried to get her out of there come hell or high water. It was we all kind of bandied about like what the consequences of this was going to be. And right here in the first few moments of the next season, you're going to see that somebody is planning on trying to make Joel pay.
Go ahead. Also, I say that, as I said that then, and I'll say it again, is because you got to look at motivation. Do you sacrifice one to save the many, or do you sacrifice the many to save one? And like I said, it all depends on what narrative you're seeing it from. season 1 and the very first game, you get such a predominant love for the characters of Ellie and Joel. So, and it's like I said, Walking Dead all over. You side with Rick, you side with Rick's group. But if you really think about it, if you was following Negan the entire time during The Walking Dead, you would side with them because Rick comes in and destroys, kills a bunch of people there, and but you think Negan's the bad guy. Of course, they're from Salt Lake City, so we know that Winfrey would probably be leading up a group there anyway. So.
Oh, trust me,
yeah.
I'm gonna lead a conversation later about the various groups and platoons and whatnot that would probably spring up in the real world if this actually happened.
Yeah,
and we know Robert be leading one.
we know Robert would lead Salt Lake City with an iron fist, and we know David Wright would have his own group as well.
Oh yeah,
But,
David would be leading the Canadians.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it's really a moral compass. I would risk everything to save my daughter. I don't care. I mean, I would, but also you got to look at it from, if you step back and look at it, Joel was a broken person.
Yep.
He lost his daughter, he lost his wife, he lost everything, and when he comes across Ellie, he is broken. He does not have a will to live. He doesn't want to live. He doesn't know what's going on. Then he learns to start caring about this young girl, and we're going to get all into that aspect as well. But he starts caring her. He starts filling that fathership role. So you can kind of get the justification, but then again, you get the moral conundrum of, but you're sacrificing one to save all. So it gives you that conundrum.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. So let's go ahead. I don't want to dwell too much on episode 2 and the murder scene. I will go ahead and start off by talking about in the first episode, and we're introduced to our new kind. Again, they brought this up in season 1. They're not called zombies. But I don't care. That's what I'm calling them. Get over it. I know they call them like affected or whatever, but we get a new kind of zombie, the Stalker. And that first episode showing the Stalker in the background, I remember running going, it's like, okay, every horror director or wannabe horror director, you watch this and you take notes because the scene of the Stalker in the background just barely moving while Ellie is wandering around after she fell through the floor. It's like, holy crap, that was terrifying. And it was so well done.
Yeah, and the faint cries too. You're like, oh, somebody's hurt, somebody's injured, and you're like, oh no, this is something new. This is something different.
And the game does it just as good. You get that very claustrophobic feel in the game. Trying to find stalkers. The stalkers in the game will literally come out of nowhere. You kind of know that something's there, but you don't. But just like this, where she's just kind of just in the background, just barely out of sight, but you know she's there. But yeah, this is very, very suspenseful. This is something that we all horror fans have been missing out on. We miss the suspenseful, basically predator prey stalking that this brought to life and showed how it could really be done effectively and practically.
Well, using the cries, I'm not a hunter, but isn't that how a lot of like deer cries work? They mimic the call of an injured fawn or something to attract out does or something. I could be wrong. I could have sworn that's what a deer call is.
Interesting.
But again, I don't hunt, so
neither do I.
I don't know.
I'm not allowed around animals for 30 feet. So. In West Virginia, bond means no.
Dear merciful God, Jayson.
I will say that what we get in episode 1 as well is we get this understanding that Joel and Ellie are not, they're not as well. Let's just put it this way: fathers and daughters. Am I right? Like at some point,
Yeah.
they're not gonna get along, and they're not getting along here for some reason. We don't know why. We find out later, but you could tell they're definitely not on. Ellie is not on the same page with Joel, and Joel's trying his best. You could tell, but there's the moment where he pushes the guy down, the homophobe down after he uses a slur, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like giving Joel the business for some reason. So, we kind of get that set up too as well in episode 1, which is kind of what most of this is about fathers and daughters. First season, definitely. This one, not as much, but it's still there. So, that's kind of what I took from episode 1.
And I think it also set up the theme that I saw throughout season 2, which is taking responsibility for your actions and autonomy for yourself. Ellie, we see, let's go ahead and say it is revealed in a later episode, and you could probably tell, I would say, from the first episode that she knows. She knows that Joel was lying about what happened with the Fireflies. She knows something doesn't add up. And she feels that he's being too overprotective. She's 19. She wants to be more active. She's trying, and like a teenager, she's kind of pushing her boundaries, she's trying to, make more of her impact in the world around her and just sort of stretch things out, see what she can and can't get rid of. And Joel is crazy overprotective about that. When he knocks down the homophobe, she's furious with him, not because because he was protecting her. And she's like, oh my God, I can handle him myself. And I have no doubt she could have. I'm like 90% certain if Joel hadn't been there, she would have broken the dude's nose.
Yeah.
Well, we won't go that far but anyway, fathers are overprotective of their daughters because as a father myself, and Jesse, you could probably attest with this since there's off to college, you want to be that. I want my baby to be protective. I don't want nothing to hurt. I know the bad things are out there. I know that I got to protect them. I know what's best. They haven't learned it yet. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, yes, we have to let our children fail in order to learn.
Yeah.
But we also struggle with that of I want to be there. I want her to fall, but I want to be there to catch her. And that's what you see here. And I think, going back to it, I think there's a struggle. Joel wonders if he did the right decision by saving her because the cure could have saved more. And I think that they don't really go into it, but I think that weighs on him and Pedro Pascal, as exhausting as he is in every other thing that we're seeing. I mean, he's a phenomenal actor. He does a lot of acting through his body and his mannerisms, and he's emoting when he doesn't have to say things. And that's why I think that him playing Joel came off a lot better than anybody expected.
Yeah, let's just say this. Pedro Pascal fatigue may be real, but the man is earning every single role he's in. It's like he's an incredible actor, and if he and Bella Ramsey don't get some freaking awards for this season, I will be shocked because they both are so freaking good in this.
Well, we'll discuss Bella Ramsey here shortly.
He's got opinions.
He does.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's questions I'll pose to you guys too. And so I'm sure we'll dive into the Ellie character well enough.
I will say season 1 also introduces what I think is actually one of the best, I don't know if you'd call it a reoccurring role or whatever, but it's Catherine O'Hara as Gail, the camp's therapist who apparently charges weed and booze for her sessions, like any good therapist.
Fair payment, yeah, for sure.
Hey, I mean, you got the barter system's alive and well, and I mean, you got to have your own therapy and your own coping mechanisms when you're dealing with everybody else's shit.
Exactly. And people talk about what a great comedic actress Catherine O'Hara is, and she is. When we reviewed the Beetlejuice sequel last year, we talked about how everyone was loving Jen Ortega and Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder so much. I'm like, yeah, but Catherine O'Hara was just so great returning as Delia. She's so funny. She's criminally underrated. She is just as good of a dramatic actress. And although it kills me that she talks about her husband Eugene, but in several movies she's been paired up with Eugene
Oh, wow.
Levy.
Yeah.
So when I heard her talk about her husband Eugene, I did a double take. I'm sorry, what?
Schitt's Creek? Wait a second.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I actually didn't know at first it was when I was like, I swear to God, if her husband's Eugene Levy, I am gonna lose it.
Could you imagine, Eugene Levy and his eyebrows being walked out to the beach by Joel? Just take a look over take a look at the mountainside, pal.
That would be it. Okay, we have AI capabilities. Somebody do a mashup.
Yeah, let's do a deep fake on that scene right now. Let's do it.
Schitt's Creek meets The Last of Us. This needs to happen.
We don't need that. But you go back to her dramatic role. She has a very difficult role in this because she is the therapist, and Joel killed her husband, but he's coming to her for therapy and wanting her to be his outlet dealing with Ellie. And she walks that line very fine.
Yeah.
As a vengeful person and a supportive ear.
Yeah.
And that takes a hell of an actress or an actor, either one, to pull that off, to be that like, try to be somebody's moral compass that you literally want to see get some bound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, she knows her duty. She knows she needs the help, and that's her job at the camp. And at the same time, I know there's a lot of medical professionals out there. We talked about this again with apple cider vinegar. When you have a doctor who is recommending a amputation for this woman's cancer treatment, and she says, no, I'm going to go try holistic methods, and it doesn't work, and they go to see the same doctor later, and he says flat out, you've got 3 months. And you can tell this doctor just wants to look at her and say, well, if you had just listened to me the first time.
Right.
But obviously you can't. And it's the same with Gail. She has to put aside all anger, all personal issues, any conflicting mindset she might have, and has to be a professional to Joel, no matter how much it hurts.
Yeah. I think that was one of the better setups and payoffs this season, where I caught myself going like, what did I miss about this Eugene guy? And then we get the episode that kind of explains everything, because I was worried I missed something in a conversation somewhere about this Eugene. I mean, they dropped it every once in a while about the, Joel killing him. And then, of course, we get to see what happened, which was done very well, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Played by Joey Joe. How do you
Pantolino?
say his name?
Joey
Pants.
Joey Pants. From 1998 Attitude Era of the WWE. But also you got to look at her struggle too. The head of the compound is Joel's brother.
Yeah.
So she's kind of in this conflicting role of, I have to fall in line because I could be excommunicated at any time because the man I hate's brother is over everything, and it's such a conflicting role, and she pulls it off so well.
They do make it also clear that settlements like theirs are few and far between. In the first episode, Tommy's wife talks to Joel about how they need to start building faster. because they have more and more people coming into town, more and more survivors. And Joel, unfortunately, ends up being kind of xenophobic, and he's just like, "Well, turn them away." And you can tell there's not a lot of options. So if you get excommunicated from this this colony, camp, town, whatever you want to call it, then you're pretty much screwed, because you're probably not going to find anything else like this for like 5 states over.
Right.
Yeah, you're signing somebody's death warrant by turning them away, and you see that where it is growing so fast. And we talk, and I don't know if it's episode 1 or 2, that you see the fact that a lot of the water pipe and everything is crumbling and stuff. So you're facing that. You're getting a lot more people taking up resources, and the resources aren't there to be replenished. So, you kind of understand that. And like I said, there's families there. There's people that's been there since the beginning. You've got a tight-knit group, but you have these strangers coming in taking resources. That can create a lot of conflict too. So it's a very fine line. It's basically a powder keg waiting to explode under the wrong circumstances.
And we get those wrong circumstances in episode 2 when we get both the blizzard and the attack on the camp, which Abby is actually the one who accidentally sets it off. We see that it is interesting how they have written the zombies, the hive mind of the, I can't pronounce the name of the mushroom to save my life, even though I know you can buy it at any grocery store.
Portobello.
Portobello.
Can we call it that for now? Can we just call it the Portobello people?
Yes, that is the new name, the Portobello people.
Okay, good. I like that our minds are all on that.
Perfect.
Again, there's a hive mind to it, and we saw a little of that in the first season. This season, we also see just how effective they are working together. You find out that the infected have literally buried themselves in the snow under frozen dead bodies. The actual mushroom in real life that they're using in this situation will take shelter. It will retreat underground. It will shrink during cold weather, and when it warms up in spring, it'll pop out like a daisy. So that's, again, it's just like the Portobello people know what they're doing, and it's kind of baffling to see that it's like they're not just scatterbrained zombies. It is a hive mind,
and it shows you, because we find out, in the first season, we find out that this is a natural occurring fungus. So it shows you the power of nature, how nature protects itself, because this shows you, just like you were saying, it takes on the characteristics of that fungi in nature, and just because it has a host now, it still resorts back to basic survival.
Yeah. Oh, and we did say in our review of season 1 we wanted more zombie battles, and we got a few more zombie battles this season, including during the blizzard. We have a huge attack on the camp where we see the infected breaking in. I noticed an interesting fact that we got the return of a bloater, and I noticed a lot of the infected would run around the bloater as if they were trying to provide it extra protection. Again, there is, I don't even know how to say it. It's just, you look at that and you go, you're mushrooms. You're not supposed to be that smart. How are you figuring this out?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's a fungi. Fungi does evolve, and fungi learns and adapts to its surroundings. So it's going to protect its. It's just like anything in nature. Your weakest of the herd is going to protect the alpha is going to be the center of everything. And that's what you see with the bloater, is these other P squares, the Portobello people. I'll call them P square, because it kind of gets tongue tied saying it so much. But yeah, you see them trying to protect their alpha, and you could see it kind of, and it's very subtle. You see it during this is it. You feel like he's kind of the bloater's kind of directing where they go, and where and how they maneuver through the main area there, because you have them breaking in places and navigating stairs and breaking down doors, all while he's walking down the middle, basically being like a central uh, transmitter. And it's really weird and really phenomenal how to see that, and how they integrate the nature aspect into this so subtly.
Definitely. And while that's going on, we have the battle in the cabin in the mountaintops, because we have Joel, who's out on reconnaissance with Dina. And the way that Abby is introduced to them, I know it's virtually shot for shot from the game, but I still thought it was amazing. You see her under attack, you see someone save her, you just hear, "Give me your hand," and it's all kind of distorted. And you know it's Joel, but they don't show right away that it's Joel saving her.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that. I love just for that moment. It's like she doesn't know this is the guy she's hunting. She just knows this is the guy who just saved her life.
Yeah.
And the way they framed it was really good.
And it kind of gives you that pause at the moment she realizes that Joel was the one that saved her, and Joel's down in the same room that she is. Is she going to forgive him? No. Not going to happen.
Take your pitching wedge out and proceed to bash head.
Yeah. That was rough.
So,
Yeah. Trying to watch episode 2 and 3 back to back.
I've got a question about that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've got a question. You guys watch Walking Dead, right? Or read the graphic novel?
Mm-hmm. Little here and there. I'm not a devotee.
Which is the more brutal death by blunt force trauma? Glenn from Negan or Abby to Joel?
Oof.
I mean, for me, it's easily Glenn. I think that was probably Glenn probably desensitized me enough so Joel's didn't hurt me as bad. And also, the fact that I knew what happened in the game kind of prepared me a little bit for what's going to happen in this second season.
Well, I mean, even in the game, it was something when it happened. In the game, you're like, holy shit, what happened? And I mean, the backlash from that was immense. I mean, people, the producers and creators of the game and stuff was getting death threats, was getting doxxed and death threats and stuff because of Joel's death and how they went about it. And it's one of those things that sometimes you have to kill off a main character to move the story forward, and that was very well needed. I don't think that, I think Joel's arc was complete, and if you kept him around, you really wasn't going to see much growth in him. You could do the angsty teenager, the friction there, but that is going to wear thin on a lot of people, and you can't go a good direction with this. This pushes Ellie forward, and it also pushes Abby to the forefront as a character, and you get a whole new thing and a whole new direction, and you get surprisingly, I don't know why this isn't being talked about, and I'm one to talk about it, but you get two strong female leads in not only a game, but in two mediums. And it's not being, and people are not talking about it as they should, because they're more concerned about Joel's death.
Very true. In answer to your question, though, I think Glenn's death was a little bit rougher for me because Negan seemed to be enjoying it a little bit more. While Abby clearly wanted revenge, at no point is she laughing or smiling. She's still in
But
pain while she's committing it.
but but it comes from two different things. The pure hatred from Abby flows through that beating. Negan's is more or less a not necessarily enjoyment. It's like he feels it's out of necessity to be able to put these people in this, to get people to fall in line. Abby is pure hatred. And I can understand it. I can understand beating somebody to death because they hurt me and took away somebody I love. I could see that, and that's an aspect of this that a lot of people are overlooking, and they're focusing on the wrong things. One we're going to get to because I will bring it up, and they focus on a lot of things of this, but this goes back to me saying that Abby, the actress coming in to play Abby was behind the eight ball because you had everybody knew the game. Everybody knew Joel was going to die. Everybody knew the backlash, but also the leaks were out there and we knew what was going to happen with Ellie and the big controversial thing with it. And it overshadows that, which overshadows a big prominent point of the series and the game.
Bring up some really good points, man. You're absolutely right. It's rare to see a medium like this that has two very strong, very compelling, very well acted leads, female leads.
And on two different sides, two ends of the spectrum, you have who do you really want to support? Do you want, because now they're pitted against each other for the exact same reason.
You killed my father. Well, you killed my father. Yeah.
Right.
I was waiting for them to grab each other and say Martha, and he ended all right there.
Yeah.
There is never a bad time to make fun of that scene. I think the thing that actually, and I will admit, I did get knocked down to tears, but it was a combination of a couple of things. Because again, I watched episode 2 and 3 back to back. Stupid mistake on my part. The song that plays as they take Joel's body back to camp is sung by Ashley Johnson, the voice and model for Ellie in the games.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and the opener for episode 3, when we go through the animation and the fungi evolving and everything and moving, and it's always been, it turns into two little silhouettes against a light. And this time, it's just one. And oh my God, that hurt. And then going into episode 3, when Ellie returns home and walks through the empty house, and she goes into Joel's closet, and that's when she loses it. And oh my God, that moment, if you've known someone who's passed, it's not, for me especially, it's not the moment when they pass. It's the moment when you try to return back to a sense of normality and you realize it has to be a sense of normality with them no longer in it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was done pretty well in the show. I agree. When I've seen another scene very similar to that where the grieving person just finds the other person's clothes and, you are reminded of things that will never be used by this person again, the life that they gave these things, and it's now gone. I think that's one of the toughest things, is realizing that, losing them, yes, definitely, but then realizing they're gone is the second hit. And I think that's what, that's definitely what stuck with me there in that whole scene.
Mm-hmm. I know we've all lost someone very close to us, and yeah, it's really hard when you try to go back to your life and you realize the parts of your life that they were involved in are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a void is left. And we're going to talk about, I'll bring it up if you guys don't, the other deaths that we that we feel in this season, and how they impact you guys, and also how you think it's going to impact the story. Most notably, I want to get your guys' thoughts on the death of Jesse. No, not that, not our
Well, still alive.
street level Starcher.
Don't worry, Mr. Starcher, you're safe for
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, not those street level Starcher there, but
Yeah, no. What's the actor's name? Hang on a second. Why did I close that out? I'm an idiot.
Young
Mazzino.
Mazzino.
Young Mazzino. Born Christopher Young Kim. So
Okay.
known professionally as Young Mazzino. Nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award in the Netflix series Beef.
Okay.
All right, so
Starring, if I remember correctly, doesn't Beef star Glenn from Walking
yeah.
Dead?
also it's the prequel to Stu.
Oh yes. Oh man. Oh man.
The prequel to Stu.
Hang on. Where is it?
Beef stew.
There you go. Yeah. I love how Jesse's written in this. I love the little things like when he approaches Ellie after the dance and everything, and he's pretending that he didn't know that Ellie and Dina kiss, and the way he kind of gets under her nerves. And then later in the series, when he essentially baits Ellie into revealing that Dina's pregnant.
Mhm.
And Ellie just was like, "Oh God, you just got me to shoot my mouth off."
Yeah, he very much seemed like kind of the more level-headed of these people that are going out and heading to Seattle. Granted, I don't think we find out that he's there until a little while after they reach Seattle. But regardless, it seems like he's got a good head about him until the last episode.
Yeah, I mean,
Hang
he did
on.
go out with a bang.
He went out with a bang.
I'm sorry. It's like I don't try to hit that button twice at the same one, but damn it, that really needed it.
Yeah, I mean, at least he does go out with a bang. But you also
I'm not
see
hitting it again, I swear to God.
no, you also see it's heartbreaking because he is collateral damage in an endless cycle of violence, and that's what this is. And you see when he does get shot in the head. Spoiler. It's impactful. I think it has almost, and I want to say this, I'll probably catch a lot of about a lot of flacker. It has almost the same weight as Joel in the series, not in the game, of course, but in the series because they don't really flesh the Joel thing out like they could have in this season. But you kind of see what he's kind of a moral compass. And to see him being taken down as collateral in an endless cycle of violence, it's kind of like eye-opening that you see it and you're like, wow, where does it end? How do we stop this? Because it's going to continue until there's nothing left. There's always going to be a revenge arc now for somebody, and how do you bring the peace, especially after something like that happens?
You're absolutely right, because again, he's kind of seen as almost sort of a model citizen of the camp.
Yeah.
He's always he's one of the leaders when they go on reconnaissance. He helps direct out where everyone else is going to go, what to do. He helps, it's like, hey, you're on this duty, go get dressed, go get this, blah, blah, blah. And I could be wrong, but don't they mention that he was kind of being primed to take over for Tommy when Tommy essentially retires? He was going to take over.
Yeah, he was being groomed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was being groomed. That's why he had so many roles in the camp, is because they wanted, and I don't know if it really touched on it that much. It touches on it in the game a little bit more because the game fleshes things out. I think, like I said, I think this is where we lose a lot in the season 2-3 splits, is you see him being, you get a little bit more understanding of what his role in the camp is. Um, with him being groomed, with him being, kind of having that leadership role to eventually step in. This and it's heartbreaking. I mean, because he's such a likable character.
Yeah.
You like him. They wrote him really well, opposed to some of the other characters. Um, so you have a connection to him. He connects with the audience. He connects with everybody, and you see that he's liked in the community. So to see him gunned down in that perpetual violence is kind of a gut shot.
Yeah, I mean, he
Or
didn't have
headshot.
to go. He didn't have to go either, and that's the thing. Like,
No.
he was there to bring them back. He in the conversation with Ellie before he gets killed, I think he explains to her, I voted no for you to go here. I voted with the council so that they weren't going to send anybody else here because it was a bad decision on top of a lot of bad decisions that Ellie makes in this season. And so he was always the one that kind of like, okay, this is the guy, my stand-in. This is the guy that's making the decisions that I would have made at this point but he goes and he doesn't have to be there, and he ends up getting killed because of something Ellie decided to do.
And he's killed without prejudice. It's not a case of, kill him. He literally runs through the door, and it was a kill whoever comes through this door. And he just literally runs, boom, and falls back. Split second.
And then you look at that, and then you have that perpetual, well, I shot him, but it was because of her.
Right.
And so that's more hatred and more resentment and more, and it just adds fuel to the fire. And it's one of those things that, like I said, it starts something that will never end.
Moving on to some of the other characters, this season does have one major flaw with it, and we talked about splitting it up a little bit more so we could see more flashbacks with Abby and Ellie, because I feel that we get a lot of build up for what we're going to see in season 3, but not a lot of payoff, specifically with Isaac and Fedra and his betrayal to the wolves, the WLF, and the battle with the, what are they called? The Seraphites, the religious order?
Yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, because, I mean, okay, once again, Jeffrey Wright proves that he is one of the greatest actors currently living. His scene of him torturing a Seraphite, talking about the pans at Williams-Sonoma of all places, and how he learned to cook to impress women because he was so shy. And as a foodie who loves to cook, I was like, oh hell yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Those copper pans from Williams-Sonoma. Oh my god, yes, every chef wants those just hanging in their kitchen to show off and say they're cooking with those. But I really feel like we didn't get enough time with them. And again, I know we're going to see them in season 3 when we get Abby's backstory, but I've mentioned this before in several other videos that it is so annoying when shows do this, where it's like, okay, now what's their buildup? What's going to happen with them? Stay tuned. I hate that.
Yeah, very kind of losty tail section.
Well, also, we talked about this at the top of the show. It's been 2 years since season 1.
Right.
How much are you going to, information from season 2 to season 3, are you going to retain without having to go back and fully watch season 2, go straight into season 3, which also could cause some fatigue. I do this with shows all the time. We'll start out a show, most famously Blacklist. Blacklist, a phenomenal show, but we came to it late. We binged like 3 seasons, and then it was like, man, I really like it, but it's becoming a chore to watch. Not because of the quality of the shows, because we overindulged in it. And like trying to, and you try to piece together some. Another show is Person of Interest. If you haven't seen it, it's a great show, but we power through 2 seasons of it, and then it's like, man, now like we want to watch it, but it's like, do we really want to watch it,
Hmm.
or have we had enough of it for right now?
Well, one thing is for sure. I mean, with these seasons, I mean, there's not a lot of episodes on your plate.
Right.
And that's probably one of the things that can maybe go for it a little bit here. I assume they're probably going to do 7 in the next season, 7 or 8.
7 or
something
8,
like that.
probably, yeah.
Right. I mean, you've got to have the build up so you can run the parallel story, and then we have everything meet in the middle, and we flash back or flash forward or get back to the present where we end this season. But either way, yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're saying there, Teasely. Sometimes it can be tough just trying to get to the end of something.
And part of me was hoping that this was going to be a case of they shot seasons 2 and 3 back to back.
Right.
But it's been all but confirmed. They haven't even finished writing season 3.
Yeah.
Jeez, come
I don't
on.
think they had gotten permit. Now, again, this is speculation. It could be 100% wrong, but I heard that they didn't get the green light from HBO Max to do 2 and 3 together.
Well, we'll go ahead and talk about this. Season 2, I nicknamed Ambien. Why? Because it would literally put me to sleep. It took me so long to get through season 2 because I would fall asleep because it drugged in a lot of places.
Wow.
And I think that's where it would have benefited having if you would have did 14 episodes right out the gate, and just alternated the episodes from each perspective. I think that would have been a phenomenal, even if you did it in 2 seasons, did season 2 and 3, and you just went through and alternated episodes. And I think they've kind of written themselves into the corner going with the green light, getting the green light yet. These games had a lot more meat on the bone that they could have used. You could have fleshed the very first game into 2 seasons. But this is another thing we run into. You got to strike while the iron's hot. Everybody was clamoring for The Last of Us. Everybody loved it. The first season was really good. Like I said, it left a lot of meat on the bone from the game, but it was good. Now you're in the season 2. You're limited on material, so you've got to. That's why they broke it up into two things, because you're limited on material. Now, so they've already got to look at, okay, we either have to finish this story completely and tie it up at the end of season 3, or we have to go in a totally new direction, fly blind to create more seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they did, unfortunately, also have to deal with the writers and actors strikes, which did slow production down. I was scrolling through. It's like, please tell me that was one of the reasons. Because we talked about this when we reviewed Andor, that it was also a huge delay, again, because of the strikes. And when we got to season 2 of Andor, there were so many characters. I was like, wait, were they in season 1? I genuinely don't remember them. Not to mention something we talked about in season 1 that I am kind of pissed off we didn't get to see in season 2. We talked about the amazing episode with Bill and Frank, characters who were just barely hinted at, and they got a whole episode dedicated to them, fleshing them out with 2 terrific actors playing them. We got a little of that with Eugene's character in this. I think this season really could have it's like, how great would it have been if we got a full episode about Gale and Eugene? Building up to Eugene's death.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that. So, we 7 episodes is really short. It's so funny because I was making as I was making my way through the episodes, I was worried like I wasn't going to get them done before last Tuesday when we'd originally planned. And I was like, oh man, I've got to cram these in. And I'm like, how many more do I got? Oh, I've only got 1 left. I couldn't believe that I had got through that many that quick. But yeah, it was only 7 episodes, and it was, that to me, I feel like, again, we had the same criticism last season. We wanted something a little bit more. Now, granted, the pacing definitely probably could have picked up, like Teasely is talking about. There are some parts where it just kind of drags on. Okay, I get it. You're sad. I get it. Okay, you're, you know, it. Let's get a little more action in here. There were a couple intense things that happened this season. You know, the subway situation they got themselves into, that was pretty intense.
Oh, that was a great action scene. Yeah.
Yeah, the scars or the Seraphinites or whatever you guys called them there. I mean, there was a couple scenes where you're just like, oh man, who are these guys? But again, there were some spots that's just like, okay, let's get on with this. And there was a lot of stuff that could have been done, extra that we would have probably enjoyed. I would have loved to have seen Eugene and what was her name again? I just forgot. Gail. Or Catherine. That's her real name. But yeah. So anyway, go ahead.
I fully agree with you guys, because we got that episode with Nick Sparks in season 1 that showed him and his boyfriend and how his boyfriend died and he was living mummified in the bedroom. And you get that backstory in it progressive. I think doing an episode like that in this season with them made a whole lot more sense than that episode in season 1, because this actually would dive into her hatred for Joel. Right. It would dive in. It would correlate to the dynamic in the community, and it wouldn't feel out of place. It wouldn't feel rushed. It wouldn't feel out of place, and you could flesh that out and see exactly, and let her be the actress she is and command and choose scenery and everything, and you would have sympathized more, and it would have added to the story.
Yeah. And again, we would have gotten more building and more time with Jeffrey Wright's character, and a little bit more about this, the WLF versus the religious cult versus Fedra. Not to mention a waste of a perfectly good Josh Peck cameo. That was weird. He played the soldier who is mouthing off in the tank before Isaac decides to throw a gas grenade in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this season definitely, I think, had more flaws than the first one. It was still good, still enjoyable, but I really think they made some major mistakes in planning this out.
Okay, let's talk about the two big glaring issues. One is, I think that Ellie in season 1, the actress was good, but putting her as a more mature adult Ellie, I don't know if it was the writing, I don't know if it was the material or her, but this season she felt really out of place playing the role, in my opinion. Because there's a lot of stuff in this that if it's a big scene, she does great in the big action scenes. But when it's more intimate, and which of this season had a lot of those in it, had a lot of big action scenes where she could emote on screen, she done really fine. But the more intimate scenes, I think, were very lacking with her. And again, I don't know if it was the writing or her presence. She came off really bad, in my opinion, in the more intimate scenes.
Yeah, so I had heard a lot of the criticism prior to going in and watching the season about her portrayal of Ellie. And of course, there was a lot of unfounded, I think, like really just stupid criticism that was, kind of hurled at her because of her appearance. My goodness, I don't think you can avoid any memes. I wrote some stuff because I typed some stuff out about.
Did you make memes?
I didn't make any memes. I just wrote down my thoughts tonight, and I had 3 memes pop up on Facebook about Ellie tonight. And I was like, I don't see these at all. But of course, that's the algorithm watching me. But
just remember, when you use ChatGPT, you're just feeding the algorithm.
and Jesse likes glutton.
Oh my goodness, Skynet and me, just like this.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I knew about the criticism. I knew what was being lobbied, and I went into this thinking it was going to be horrible. There wasn't anything that really completely took me out. I can see where you're coming from, Teasely, in regards to the more, intimate moments, the more still moments where she's kind of reflecting. The scene that kind of comes to my mind right now is her on stage, on that stage with that guitar in her hand. Granted, there's not, she kind of picks it up, and you understand why she kind of puts it back down, but you can't really see on her face how sad she is. You just kind of get the idea. Okay, yeah, she's feeling sad just by looking at her actions. When she watches Joel die, different story. That's a big, you could tell that she is being, she's emoting that she is being ripped apart watching, her father figure get killed in front of her. So, again, very uneven. I kind of agree with you there. As far as Ellie goes, the character, oh my gosh, was she hard to sympathize with. That's probably the best way to put it.
She's very watered down compared to the game. This is very watered. Oh yeah, in the game, she is very vengeful. She is very, very, very vengeful. She has this hatred that is very comes across the screen, and that's why the mocap and everything for the game is so. If you get a chance, get some free time, watch the cinematography from Last of Us 2, and you just see how good, and you'll see the very stark differences of what we got on the TV show versus the game. The game, she pulls at your heartstrings. You feel for her and everything, and it's very hard. I mean, it's because it's all mocap, but like the graphics and the way that she emotes in the game, you're like, wow, how is this a game? How am I connecting with this in a video game? And then you see it on screen, and it's like, I just don't. There's a disconnect. Yeah, okay, you're sad. Boo hoo, move on. But in the game, you see the same scenes, some of the same scenes, and you're like, man, I'm gravitating toward this.
So you probably are having an easier time understanding why she is doing what she's doing in the game, and for the show.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, for the show, I'm just like, this girl is making dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision, and I cannot find any.
You see a lot of Abby too.
Okay, yeah, I remember hearing a little bit about that.
Yeah, and watching the game, the Abby thing, and it adds to it because you get to see why Abby's the way she is as well, because you play through.
You have to play
sections
her.
You play as Abby,
right?
So you get her perspective, and it's like, and you're like, because you come out, you loathe Abby because she kills Joel. You'll loathe it, but as you play through the game, you start kind of. That moral compass starts shifting to be like, was Abby right? And as you're playing, you wonder, what side of the fence do I fall on in this? Because there's no right side. There's a side you're portrayed to feel, and then there's a side that you're persuaded to feel. And it's like, it's really, it brings it into a real conundrum. But you're kind of like the end of season 1. You're in that moral. You're like, okay, she killed him brutally, but I get it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
Right.
And you see how bad Ellie is not a great person.
Right. I'm
because
curious
of what she goes through.
I want to know, because I know in the game you are a lot of the mechanic is you got to make a choice, right? Like you make choices of, okay. So the one thing that drove me, like, just made me go, oh my gosh, I cannot stand this Ellie character right now, is the moment she shoots the guy and the bullet goes through him and hits the pregnant lady in the neck. She's lying on the ground, bleeding to death, and she's like, save my baby, grab a knife, cut me open, take my baby out. And Ellie has this knife and she's about to do it. So I got to know, is that in the game at all?
I don't remember it in the game.
Okay.
It might be, but it's been a while since I've actually played it.
I was
I
wondering
just
if
know, I know a lot of the big things, but yeah, I can't remember if it's in there or not. I have to. And this is it's something that Mackenzie's actually. I turned her on to playing Last of Us. She's playing through all the Resident Evil 9s, which I'm so excited that there's a new Resident Evil coming out in February. She's playing like Death by Daylight. She's in that suspenseful horror genre. So and she's playing through it, and the first Last of Us she loved. I don't think she's played. She started playing Last of Us 2, but I don't think she's played a whole lot of it. But she's talked to me about. So me and her might go sit through and watch a playthrough or something one day when I'm doing homework or something, and we can watch through it. And if I do, which will probably be sometime this week, if you haven't figured it out, I'll watch a playthrough and let you know.
Yeah, I mean that moment in the show, she accidentally kills the mother of this unborn child. The mother is pleading, please, save my baby. And now, granted, look, we know what probably at this moment, is she going to save this baby or is she going to get her revenge? She doesn't do anything with it. She lets the baby die. I mean, just doesn't cut her open and lays the knife down. And you're just like, okay,
well,
all right.
I think part of that was also shock. I mean, Ellie knows a little bit about first and everything, but I don't think she's ever done anything to the level of cut open, and remove a fetus. So part of that, I think it was you want me to do what and what and what?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you also got to look at the external factors. What does babies typically do? What?
Cry.
They cry.
That's right.
So that sound can alert our mushroom.
The portobellos.
The portobellos.
Could get the mushroom mafia after us, and that puts your life in danger. So you also have that moral dilemma of do you save the baby and risk dying yourself, or
right.
And speaking of babies, let's go. Hold on. I'm getting my soapbox.
All right.
I'm stretching out here. I'm climbing up on the soapbox. That was the most retarded, unethical, stupid thing that they could have put in this series. Her saying Ellie saying I'm going to be a father. After one night with a girl, it's mind blowing. I want to know how you guys feel, especially you, Alexis. Me and you differ a lot politically, but we respect each other. So I do want to hear your take on that.
I was okay with it because Dina had more or less made it clear that she wanted a life with Ellie and the baby. She didn't want to go back to Jesse, and I'll admit, I also think that made Jesse's death a little bit more tragic. He probably didn't know that. He thought he was probably going to have more of a life with this baby, even if he knew that Dina didn't love him anymore. He was like, I'm still going to be a father, and I want to be a father, and I want to be a good father. So I also know that the actress Bella Ramsey is non-binary. And this was why it was kind of hard to read a lot of criticisms about her acting and her portrayal in this, because every time because I'll agree with you, there were parts of it I didn't really appreciate, but every time I I tried to read something, it was filled with all this crap against her for her looks,
Yeah.
for her sexuality,
Yeah.
for her decision to be, her being classified as non-binary. And I was like, oh my God, people, I don't freaking care about that. And it's like, and I don't care, what this actress identifies as. That's none of my prerogative. It's like, okay, that's what she wants to be, whatever.
Sure.
And I think that they did throw that line in there because she is non-binary. So it didn't really bother me that much, since Dina had made it clear that that was her decision. She wanted Ellie to essentially be the other parent. So in any other situation, I could see it coming across as kind of stupid, but I felt that they worked it in well enough. I was okay with it.
But this is my issue. I think that if they would have kept it, without that line, you get. I think you don't alienate part of your audience because, like I said, I don't care what people do. I there's agendas that I don't appreciate, that I don't agree with. But I thought it was more of a forced line than something coming off naturally. If it would have just been a more natural thing, and her being a part of the baby's life, I think it's just one of those things that was thrown in there to appease people, rather than because I mean that took a lot. Not only myself, I know that it took a lot of people. In a different light to the show overall. Now, I sympathize with her. I mean, I'm not saying she's a great actress. She does do a lot. This goes back to I don't know if it was her acting or the material, but there were some things on screen when she has to emote, when she has had those big dramatic moments. I think she does phenomenal. But when you do read about it, I think a lot of people take real world things and apply it to this fantasy world, and that's a lot of criticism. And I think that it also goes the other way, where you're taking something in the real world and applying it to this for the option of shoehorning it in and trying to make something that people accept in the real world, put it into a specific IP. A phenomenal thing we have a group chat that is we like to poke the bear on each other sometimes, but we also make fun of external things. Perfect example is the fact that Black Panther is now white in a multiverse. It's catching a lot of backlash when people don't know the context behind it. They just see the headline and don't know the context. So I think that
I'll say that's why I commented on there. It's like, yeah, gee, just like when Captain America said "Hail Hydra," and that, Jesse, remember when that came out and there was all these articles about people burning their comic books? It's like Marvel is dead to me.
Hey,
and it's like,
hey, I have that first issue.
Yeah, and I remember it's like he said
it.
that like 200 times in various issues. He's been brainwashed, or he's faking it, or he's undercover, or something.
Yeah,
but I think that's she catches a lot of flack for her real life. She's catching a lot of flack for her real life, but it's bleeding over into the show, and I think that's a lot of negativity. And we all know negative fandom. Jesse, you're probably you two are probably more adamant about it than mine, because Alexis, you see it at Comic Cons. Jesse, you see it because you're heavily invested in comic books and stuff. I see it from a sports standpoint, but toxic fandom is the bane of existence.
Mm-hmm.
They'll rip something down, a beloved IP down, simply because of your personal political views. And I'm not saying that is unwarranted. I'm not saying it either way, but I think a lot of negativity comes from when you could get the same get a better reaction without shoehorning something in versus trying to shoehorn something like that in, because I feel if they would have just made it more about the you could just take that one line out and made it more about the caring connection.
So
This
you would have
season
been
would
more.
have a lot.
You would have
This
been more
season would
okay
have
if
had
the
a
line.
lot less. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying you would have been more okay if the line had been, "We're gonna be parents."
Well, they wouldn't even have to do that. You could have just emoted, and this could have been a very key point of giving her the opportunity to emote in a very intimate thing, and just have her just express joy of being of this moment of sharing that moment. You didn't have to have the line, and I think that just that one line kind of poisons the entire IP this season. Because I've seen that. Because a lot of stuff you read online, I've read 5 articles a day since I knew I was going to be on. Just while I was driving, I was listening to some. I just had it playing and stuff. Every one of them mentions that specific moment of this took me out of the series. This poisoned the series for me.
Wow.
This had a negative condensation. This one line damaged the entire season.
I did not get any of that. Didn't have that much of a visceral reaction to it, that's for sure. I think when she said it, Ellie had been saying stupid stuff all season. I mean, that's kind of what she's 19, right? She's 19 now.
Yeah.
She doesn't, the main thrust of this series is that she doesn't know what in the world she's getting into. She doesn't understand the world. She just wants to go out and, she wants to make her mark. She's a little bit, as we like to say here, too big for her britches. That's what you say, Teasely. She's a little too big for her britches. She runs off at the mouth. So that whole line, the way it was delivered to me, I was just like, well, okay, she obviously identifies, as they're a gay couple, I guess, and she identifies as the man of the family. So it just, whatever. I just chalked it up to like Ellie's, saying something stupid again. So let's go on. Yeah, we're going to be a father. All right, great.
And
yeah, pretty.
I think if they was gonna write something into the show from real life, I wish they would have wrote her being on the spectrum into this. I think that because that way, when she does do something that's socially awkward and stuff, you understand it.
Okay.
And that's something, and I think that's you don't see a lot of it in shows. I think this would have been a great thing because one, you're navigating through a world that is pretty much a survival. Two, the representation of that, and the fact that I don't know if it's been confirmed. Alexis, you could say that it's been confirmed. I know that it's rumored that she's on the spectrum in real life. But if they would have wrote it that way, and you could have had so much, I think that would have helped lessen the blow of that, of her portrayal. Because if she is on the spectrum, great for it. I mean, she's at a major IP, and having that it shows that it's not a disability. You can work through it and still be successful in life. But setting that up, and if you would have played into that as from a real life standpoint, I think that would have been great because she is very smart. But she is very socially awkward. I mean, we all have that social awkwardness. Not saying that we're all on the spectrum, but I mean, but we all are socially awkward. If we're in a big group situation, I think all of us on the RAB, we don't like the spotlight. You know, we do podcasts, we do talk, we do catch a lot of hate, some more than others. But we also we put ourselves out there because we like to talk about certain IPs. We like to talk to each other, and we like that intimate conversation. But if you was to put us out, if you took all of us and put us in a room, there would be awkwardness. Even though we've known each other for years upon years, we would all be awkward around each other. Because Jesse would probably have his hand on my ass, but you know, that's a whole different
I
story.
can't help myself.
Yeah, I know. It's like patting a board back there, but anyway. But yeah, I mean, you know, even when I met Mark, it was kind of I've known Mark almost 15 years. But it was still kind of when I first met Mark, it was kind of the first 20, 30 minutes was really awkward for us, even though me and him me online through text messages and stuff, me and Mark are really close. But being in front of somebody and meeting them, you know, I can even remember when I first met Jesse at a remix show. You know, it was, you know, it was one of those things that, hey, I know you, but I don't really. I could tell you anything about your family, but to sit and have a conversation and having a person-to-person conversation in the day of the internet is tough, anyways.
It's true.
No, I know what you mean. First time I met Mark, I went to work a show down in Tampa, and he came to my table, and I was just like, "Okay, this is weird." And I still remember
What do I
the
do
only thing
now?
I still remember the only thing I remembered about that was telling myself, "Okay, now I need to get a picture of me punching his lights out to send that to the rest of the guys,"
Yeah.
because I knew you would all love that.
So yeah, I mean, I think we need to have more representation in some shows too, because I think that's a community that doesn't get the representation that they deserve. Because there's some really great actors out there that aren't publicly on the spectrum, but everybody kind of assumes, and they are phenomenal actors. And they don't, you don't. Everybody talks about representation, but some of the biggest, you know, community that loves these video games and stuff aren't being properly represented. And I know that's weird coming from me. See, voice of reason, whole new leaf.
All right. Well, let's see. The only other thing I had on here to talk about was some of the production design, because the cinematography in the show still blows me away. A lot of shots are taken almost straight from the video game. I know we have the scene in the episode 1 at the dance where it pans down behind Ellie's head with the lights. I know that was taken from the game. Several scenes of the of Joel's murder were taken directly. Almost the lines were verbatim from the game. I think a couple of shots that I remember really standing out. You have the scene in, I think it's episode 4 or 5. That's when, Dina sees that Ellie's been bitten and she's about to kill her, and Ellie has to finally reveal, "Oh no, I'm immune." And you have the scene where she says, "Look, I'm going to go sit on this chair and you're going to watch me. And if I get twitchy in any way, you can blow my brains out." Mm-hmm. And whenever it cuts to Dina looking at her, Dina's holding a flashlight, like right here. So you see sort of a silhouette with the light, but you don't actually see her face. And that's what Ellie is looking at. Ellie is like looking at her best friend / woman she loves, and can't actually see her face while she's trying to prove to her, "I'm fine. Please don't kill me." And the production design in episode 5 with the infected floor, we finally get the spores reveal. This was obviously a big thing in the game, which they decided to cut for the series, because otherwise we would have had all of our actors running around with gas masks on, and that probably cuts down on your star quota or whatever. But the scene where Ellie follows Nora down there, and you see the way the infected are kind of grown into the walls and spewing out spores like fucking volcanoes.
Yeah, that was gross.
Just, oh my God. And the way the lights turn red as she goes after Nora, who I did not realize that's Toddy Gabrielle. She's going to play Jade in the upcoming Mortal Kombat sequel.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
And early reviews are Mortal Kombat 2 is fucking amazing. Level Avengers Endgame level awesomeness.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. That
came from the director and Ed Boon themselves. They said that they did a test screening, and they said that they would compare it. People came out of it like with just such joy that they haven't seen since Endgame.
That's pretty cool.
Cannot wait to see that. So, and of course we get the scene in episode 6 where we have the various flashbacks to Ellie's birthdays, and we see her spending more time with Joel. The scene, which again is taken almost shot for shot at the museum in the space capsule, because Ellie had talked about how her dream was to go to space, and Joel managed to kind of replicate it for her. It's such a good scene, and it is so well directed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that's really big in the game too, is how you see those little shots, and it's visually appealing, and it just brings you in and makes you care a little bit more. So the cinematography in this is great. Some of the sets are amazing. How they did a lot with very little. A lot of practical stuff was really good. I like a lot of the practical effects they used this season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and of course makeup, still same guys from last season. We talked about that last time, just how great the makeup was. Still looks phenomenal. All of the various levels of our walking portobellos, the Mushroom Mafia, all of them just, the Shiitake Squad, all looked fantastic. I even kind of like the whole day, and I know this was the way they were designed the video game, but I thought the stalkers, with the way the spores were kind of coming out of their head, had almost like an antler or a deer effect, or dare I even say, kind of a crown of thorns, sort of look. So,
and it's the makeup is great. And I'm thinking back about when I went to Halloween Horror Nights and they had The Last of Us house. They had a bloater as the last thing you went through. The last thing you see, he comes out of a wall, and I might have been a little inebriated, according to my wife and daughter. And
the world's biggest quotation mark.
And he comes out of the wall where I think the exit is behind him. Instead of turning, I'm sitting there trying to put my best 1990s Major League Football moves on this guy to get around him while everybody else is walking by me. And I hear everybody cackling behind me. And then I finally hear the guy in the costume start laughing. He goes, "Turn around." And then I turn around and see the exit.
You made the bloater break character.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because
Jason,
this didn't last for like 5-10 seconds. This went off for a good solid 30 seconds of me trying to do my best NFL running back juke move to get around him. And he's trying to be serious and scare people that's behind me. And so, anytime I see a bloater, I kind of chuckle. And, everybody else chuckles because they ask if I'm going to try to. I'm surprised I didn't just try to lower my shoulder or run over him.
Right, dude. Yeah.
Because this thing was massive. It was like a 9 foot tall. It was like a 9 foot tall costume.
Wow.
And I'm not a small person.
No.
So it dwarfed me, and here I am trying to trying to maneuver around it. Like I said, I may have been slightly inebriated, and it made for a fun thing. So that and the costumes in that versus seeing some of that is translating to seeing it in real life was phenomenal. And to go back and have those memories of the house we went through, to see it on screen and to see the level of makeup that it took and to pull off is something phenomenal.
Oh, I would have given my right arm to have seen that on footage. God.
Oh, it's almost as funny as the whole West Virginia Hoot House. But we won't go into the West Virginia Hoot House story of the new NFL expansion team in West Virginia.
Yeah.
We'll save that for another day.
A little shout out from Maxwell King. How's it going, man? Thanks for tuning in. Okay. Well, was there anything else we want to talk about? Because I'm sorry, Jayson, but I am going to treasure this mental image of you breaking the bloater out of character.
Turn around, man.
No,
That's the funniest thing you've ever said on this show.
The bad thing about it is you could tell the young guy did not want to break character. But he started laughing at me because, like I said, it went on for about 30 to 45 seconds of me doing these elaborate moves to get by him. And he's trying to, like, buff me and push me toward the exit.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to give you every incentive to realize what you're doing.
And then finally he goes, I hear him start laughing, and he goes, turn around. And that's all he says to me. And I turn around and I see where it says exit. And I turn back to him and went, thanks, man. And I just turned around and walked out. And one of the actors, you know, the guide actors, they typically stand in corners and kind of direct you. They were unable to breathe because they were doubled over laughing. Yeah. And then we seen one of them followed us outside. He said, that made my night. He's like, that was the best thing. He said, I've seen people scream. He said, I've never seen anybody try to juke him. He said, that made my night. He's like, I'm going to remember that forever. I was like, glad I could help, man.
Oh God, I can't remember last time I turned this red on this show.
But I'm gonna leave with that. Let you guys wrap up. I have to get in bed. It's been I've got an early appointment. I've got a 9 a.m. appointment, an hour and a half away from me, and then I don't have another one. Well, then I don't have another one till 3 o'clock. So my schedule just changed while we was on this show. So it's been an absolute pleasure.
Why don't you do your
I don't have anything plugged.
Okay.
I don't have any. Only thing I'm going to plug is I've already talked to Mark. So this is maybe an announcement. I don't know if anybody else has talked about it. I might have talked about it on a previous show with Mark. When I do the charity thing, I will be representing the Red Legion Broadcasting Network as my affiliate. So I'm going to be there. So I'm going to be taking pictures and clips, and I'm going to be sending it to Mark, and Mark should be uploading it. It'll be uploaded on my TikTok as well. It'll be the weekend of July 18th through the 20th. I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee. You could follow Scott Fishbowl, Scott Fish on Twitter. If you're listening to this and you do fantasy football, which is basically D&D for jocks, go in, sign up, become a part of the community. It's the largest fantasy football organization in the world. You have celebrities, athletes, everyone. We all come together for some very good causes. This is the first time I'm actually being a part of the live event. I've been a part of some satellite events and some actual things. This year, I got invited to come to a live event. I'm really stoked about it. So I will be posting. I'll shoot it over to Mark, Jesse. I can shoot it over to you too. You guys can upload. I'm going to have it on my Twitter as well, at Prodigal Son 22, or as Mark calls me, and as it's written, the Protocol Son 22 on Twitter. Yeah, I'm the Protocol Son 22 on Twitter or X. Look for updates on there. Like I said, go follow if you are into the fantasy football community. Go follow Scott Fish. He's going to be updating live from all the events. I think there's 27 live events. I think 7 are international drafting. I know one's in Paris and one's in Australia this year, which is really cool. So yeah, outside of that, you guys have a wonderful night. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Maybe we can get together and record something else in the near future.
All right. Well, I do have you coming on in August. We've got 2 shows with the Unholy Trinity. We're going to be talking together. The body horror movie coming out with Dave Franco.
Yeah.
And the week after that, we're going to be talking Weapons. It's the movie with, oh my God, I can't think of her name. The girl who was, in the Rosemary's Baby prequel that we reviewed last year.
Yeah. I think there's one that I was going to mention to you. Dangerous Animals. If you have not checked out that trailer, definitely recommend it.
I saw the trailer. I've heard good things about it. Let me talk to Robert and Mark. Let me see if I can find some time on the schedule. I would love to throw another Unholy Trinity on there.
All right. Sounds good. Just let me know. And
all right,
Jesse, it's been a pleasure. Alexis, it's been a pleasure. I will talk to you guys later.
Take care, man.
Good night, man.
See you. All right.
I'm never going to forget that story.
Yeah. Him sitting there trying to get around the guy when the exit's right behind him. That's hilarious.
All right. Well, I think we have talked all we're going to talk about The Last of Us. I think when you talk about your friend trying to use a football move on a guy dressed as a bloater, I don't think there's anywhere else to go.
Nah, perfect way to end it. Right there.
So let's go ahead and wrap things up with our plugs. Like I said, Jayson's going to be coming back. We got some horror movies we're going to be looking at since we had so much fun talking about the monkey earlier this year. I just showed that to a friend of mine who hates scary. Well, he doesn't hate scary movies, but his wife's got a higher tolerance for it than him, so he gets drug into a lot that he doesn't like. He just had to watch Midsummer, and he could barely get through it.
Couldn't get through that? Oh, man.
Yeah, I was like,
I
dude.
sat down. I watched The Monkey with the wife, and the wife did not like the monkey at all.
See, we love the monkey. We loved it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I thought it was, for what it did what it's supposed to do, in my opinion, but it didn't have the ending that she wanted. By the way, I remember the ending, there is a ghost that's riding a horse.
And lo, I saw a pale horse, and on him was death, and hell rode with him, or whatever. Yeah.
You're just like, okay, keep driving.
No, I really enjoyed that movie. But yeah, we got a couple more horror movie reviews coming out. But until then, next week, TV Party is coming back with you and me talking The Critic.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Seasons 1 and 2. I've made it through, I think, 3 or 4 episodes so far on season 1. So I'm going to put the hammer down and get through the rest of them pretty soon. So there's like 25 episodes total, I believe. So
yeah, well, there's only 2 seasons. The show was. This is a criminally underrated animated series from Fox, and I know
my understanding is that it stinks. It stinks. Oh wow!
It wasn't hitting the Pinkie Pie button again. No, I absolutely love it. I've got the whole series on my computer. My husband downloaded it for me ages ago. I love it. I cannot wait to talk about that. We actually we just wrapped up a ton of TV Party tonight. So we also, like I mentioned, just talked Andor season 2. Was actually it's kind of funny because I was about to say last week. It's like, no, that was the week before last, because this show was supposed to be last week and we had to reschedule it because not only was Jayson unavailable, but our other collaborator who was supposed to come on tonight was not available. Mr. Andrew Roscoe, sorry that you got bitten by a flu bug or whatever it was. I really hope you feel better soon, man. You're my favorite collaborators, and I really hope to have you on again in the near future.
For sure.
Once you're feeling better, of course.
Yeah.
So I know that we're in the middle of getting a handful of things on the schedule. Resident Alien Season 4 just premiered, but they haven't announced all of the air dates. So Mark and I have always talked Resident Alien because the world needs more Alan Tudyk. So we'll hopefully get that on the schedule soon too. I know that Mark has expressed interest in doing Alien Earth, a new spin-off series in the Weyland Yutani universe that's going to be airing on FX and I believe on Hulu. So as soon as we get that on aired, we'll be adding that to the schedule. And we were actually just talking. So a couple of years ago, Mark and I reviewed Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story from Ryan Murphy. It was actually one of, I think, our best videos. And we both completely blanked that there was a second season on the Menendez brothers that came out, and we're like, oh, that was a thing. Oh, okay. And we didn't realize it till we heard the announcement that a third season's coming out, and it's going to focus on Ed Gein.
Oh boy.
To which I told Mark, we cannot miss that. Ryan Murphy doing a miniseries on Ed Gein. It's like, yes, hell yes. But we got to get through the Menendez brothers season first. So we're going to watch that. I don't know when that's scheduled. Going to find some time on the calendar. And as far as movie reviews, I don't think I'm on for How to Train Your Dragon live action, but I know that I'm coming on week after that to discuss Elio because nothing animated gets talked on this series without me.
Very nice.
Yeah. So what about you, Jesse? What do you got coming up?
Oh, well, this past Monday, myself and Mark Radlich got together on the Source Material Comics podcast, and we discussed the first in our trilogy of discussions on Joker books. And this one was called Joker Smile. And it is a psychological thriller, a Black Label book. And it is good. I think it was only 3 issues. It was my favorite of the 3 that we're going to be talking about. Basically, a guy goes in thinking that he can cure the Joker, and oh my goodness, it gets pretty wild. So if you get the opportunity, go check that out.
Yeah, it's like, dude, need I remind you what happened to the last person who thought they could cure the Joker?
It doesn't end well. Usually for anybody that tries.
Yeah, at best you turn into Harley Quinn. At worst, you're not walking out of there ever again.
No, you're not. And then on the Unspoken Issues podcast, the Monday prior, which is Unspoken Issues, 90s comics all the time. And we talked Amazing Spider-Man, Round Robin, the Sidekick's Revenge. What a spectacular discussion that was had about that crazy crossover. I say crossover because a lot of in the 90s, Spider-Man was lousy in other people's books, and Punisher, he had a ton of guest stars. Night Thrasher shows up, Punisher shows up, Nova shows up. I mean, my goodness, you just the list goes on. Moon Knight's there. It goes on and on. If you get the opportunity, there's some good 90s stuff to be had there. And of course, myself and Evan Bevins get together once a month and we talk Marvel Snap. So if you play Marvel Snap on your mobile device, you can go over there to the Source Material Comics podcast. Just throw that into YouTube and you should be able to find any episode there where we discuss Marvel Snap and have a good time doing that. And I think that is all I've got.
I don't know if you saw the post that I put up the other day from my new reading material. I picked up DC Pride for 2025.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I love reading those. I love the little short vignettes looking at the different characters in the DC universe who are LGBTQIA+, making sure I got all the letters there.
Letters and symbols. I have not had the opportunity to read any of those yet, and you've always talked good about them. I think Mark even said he enjoyed what he read sometimes. Didn't you guys cover one like a couple years back when I was on hiatus?
Yeah, the very first one. It was Mark, me, and Sean Comer, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that because I hate to say at one point I wanted to start talking about the different artist designs. For example, for the chapter with Batwoman, talking about her and her sister Alice. They did a very stylized design for the comments and everything for the inner dialogue. And I can remember waiting to talk about that.
Yeah.
And Sean Comer was talking on and on about, because he is bi-pan, he's one of them. And he was going on and on about it. And I was just like, I want to talk about the artwork.
I remember we talked Batman Elegy, I think it was, or Batwoman Elegy.
Batwoman Elegy, yes.
Yeah.
I still say if you want to get into not necessarily writing comics, but drawing comics,
yes,
that is a must.
It's a beautiful book. It is beautifully done. Beautifully done.
Yeah. So, but yeah, can't wait. I haven't had a chance to break into the new DC Pride, but I'm looking forward to it. I know that we are still trying to find time to talk Spider-Punk.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's like 5 other books that's on our to-do list.
Yes, and we got to, I think, probably revisit Gargoyle sometime soon.
Yes, we do.
I don't know if the second trade's dropped yet or not, but I'd love to get into finishing that series because I thought things were getting really good.
Oh, absolutely. Cannot wait. And as far as the plugs that pay me, that's what did you guys officially call it? The Honeysuckle Hustle?
Talk to Mark. I had nothing to do with those lyrics.
I watched the video. May I applaud you for trying to defend my honor. You are such a good friend.
I hate that I had to even try to do it, but
I was very touched. I was. Yeah, that was my humbling moment. I listened to that and I was like, oh, so that's what it feels like to get roasted. Good to know.
I love the song though. The song that it came up with is okay. I know at some point me and Mark are going to sit down when we do our breakdown of like the full album and what we thought of because we've come a long way, but I like the way that song sounds. Granted, it's hey, look, the honeysuckle hustle, cash flow. Here we go.
See, what makes me laugh the hardest is that whole joke about Mark not paying us, that actually got started as a response to my parents.
Oh, really?
Because I commented about when I first started working for Mark, I commented about how I was watching more movies and reading more comic books and watching more TV shows and stuff, to which my parents were like, well, he's paying you, right? I'm like, no. This is a hobby, okay? This is a hobby that I love and I'm very passionate about, and I love being a part of it, and I love you guys, and I love working with you guys. But yeah, my parents kept getting in my face about, well, aren't you going to get paid for it? And I was like, well, I guess if it happens.
Once we start making money, and that's the key. We got to make the money first, then the pay will start happening for sure. So just 10 years is kind of at least 10 years for me. It hasn't happened yet.
Well, it's like 10 years, and how many other podcasts are in our exact position, and maybe even recording longer than we have.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of where that joke came from, because it was just like, well, fine, if they're going to nag at me about this. I was like, I turned it into a joke.
I think it's awesome.
They still ask if I'm going to start getting paid for this. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yep. We're right on the cusp of busting loose here. Just a few more retweets. Tell them to start retweeting everything.
No kidding. I give them so much shit. They don't listen to the show because they say it goes too long. I'm like, well, then don't complain that I'm not getting paid if you two aren't going to contribite to people listening to this.
Right. Dang it. Oh, that's
like
funny.
Those two are pretty active on social media. It's like my mom's got one hell of a social media life. It's like, come on, if you want me to get paid for this, then do your retweet duty.
Share it. Come on now. I feel you.
But yes, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fan at the intersection of geek and chic. We just wrapped up Des Moines Con, had a lot of fun with that. Ran into a few old friends who didn't realize I was working in the con circuit. They came by and they were just like, what the hell are you doing here? I'm like, my job. I'm actually heading back to Des Moines tomorrow for a meeting with Mayhem Collectibles. We're looking at hopefully them selling some of our wares there, including our game token earrings and our wire wrap dice. So hopefully thing goes according to plan tomorrow. As far as next conventions go, at the end of this month, we've got KC Crypticon. That is Kansas City's horror convention. Looking forward to that. Got a lot of casts coming out of Willow and the Terrifier movies.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So working on a bunch of new stuff for that. Of course, you can always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, screw you, Twitter, no regrets, and TikTok, as long as TikTok's still around. It's like every other week we hear is TikTok getting taken down.
Canceled.
And of course, we have our stores on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. For those who are fans of The Last of Us, go check out both of our shops have our Firefly necklace. Because remember, when in times of darkness, you look to the light. All right, so I think that wraps things up here. So for myself, for Mr. Jesse Starcher, be well, be safe, have a good night.